Hello, everyone. My name is Hallie Johnson. I serve as one of the coordinator of student organizations in the Student Activities Center. So today we're going to have a SOLD workshop that's going to be based on officer transitions. And this is an important time in each leader's and each org's career as a student org is making sure that we're properly transitioning our officers and setting them up for success. So here's kind of the agenda of what we'll be going over today. First, notifying your advisors. And then we'll go through a checklist, one for outgoing officers and one for incoming officers. And then we'll talk about some officer resources that our office provides. And then we'll go over how to update OrgSync, a little tutorial on how to navigate OrgSync for officer transition related things. And then, of course, the tutorial. So, first thing first, notifying your organization advisors. When? Immediately following officer selections, if they're not a part of that meeting or if they are not, somehow already in that communication, making sure immediately after new officers have been selected, you email and let your organization's advisor know that. And why? Of course, advisors are really the connecting link between student orgs and many situations that require them to be in the know. Sometimes, if our office needs to get in contact with the org, we're going to go through your advisor. Your advisor, a lot of times, is your advocate on campus and knows a lot of the things about campus more than what a leader may know. So make sure that you keep them in the know so they know what's going on and they can also be able to be a vital resource to you. Another tip, if you're switching advisors, update OrgSync before registration so that you already have your advisor on your portal so that they can thumbs you up for your registration process and for your event application process. So the first another thing that's very important is setting up officer transition meetings. This is a key implement that I highly recommend to make sure that your organization is successful and everyone's on the same page as a board, as officers moving forward. So, of course, schedule one-on-one meetings with the incoming officer in your specific position. So, for example, if I'm the president, I would schedule a one-on-one meeting with the upcoming president. And then, it could just be you two. You could also include your advisor, however you want that to be. The same would be if you're the secretary. Schedule a meeting with the upcoming secretary as well. And then you also can, if not doing one-on-ones, you can do this as well. You can also plan an officer retreat with the incoming and the outgoing exec boards together. It might not always align in some cases. So even if you're doing one with just the incoming, maybe still invite them or have them give you some information that you can share during that retreat. And making sure you're introducing officers to key contact people, especially your group's advisor. A lot of times we have student orgs that don't remember or not haven't met their advisor. So make sure when you're transitioning out of your role that you facilitate that connection with the incoming officers. Make sure you prepare ahead of time and bring all needed documents, jump drives, logins, information to pass over to that meeting. You can help them plan the first course of action and what they're going to do over the summer. What should they do if it's in the fall transitioning? What should you be working on under the winter break? What are some of our key activities? And just help them get ahead so that they at least have an example of how their beginning phase should be planned. And make sure that officer job descriptions are written well and they're understood so officers know the expectations of them in their position and in their role. And then, of course, so that some of the roles sometimes they need to be adjusted. Maybe while you were vice president, you took on some additional roles. Make sure that's written down so the expectation is the same moving forward. So this is our first checklist for outgoing officers, a checklist. And of course, you can read more, but I'm going to expand on some key ones on each one. So, of course, make sure the advisor knows the list of the new officers is very important. So that's why I keep honing in on that. Make sure that space is reserved for all your annual events. And even if you can't reserve because of the location, for those, give like an outline of, hey, this is when we usually do our signature events, and this is usually where we get it. So, and this is how I book those things, and this is how I do an event app, so the students that are coming in to be officers know that. And then if you can, organize everything into a notebook or to a shared drive. If you want to use Google Drive, Microsoft Drive, or a jump drive, whatever you want to do to keep everything in one place and everything you worked on so that that can continue to be looked back at and referenced by new officers. Make sure you finish up all your correspondence. No loose ends. Let's make sure we responded to all emails. We followed up on all calls. We can close out on everything so there's nothing open leading that an officer may need to reach out to you or may have to get in contact with you, especially if you were graduating. Let's make sure we have closed up all loose ends. If there's time permits, allow the incoming officers to shadow you to see how you're doing things. A lot of times in some orgs, maybe on the last event of the semester before you transition, have the incoming officer follow you with the weeks upcoming and the day of to just get a feel of how it would be to be in your role. Make sure you tell the president that they need to re-register. This is very important. Make sure officers know that in the fall, they must re-register their org for the upcoming academic year. That information will usually come out from student activities in early August or late July, somewhere in between there. So just make sure that they're on the lookout for that to handle that key a part of their business. And then an officer handbook. This is really good. This goes back to like organizing notebooks and files, but having an officer handbook that just like could be a binder, it could be a shared drive, and it just has like all the properly transitioned outgoing officers should keep the documents up to date throughout the year. So then when you hand it over, it's already complete, opposed to you trying to get all of that information together at once. So throughout your term as an officer, make sure you're keeping up with all your events, on who your contacts were, things of that nature, so that you're not having to do it at the end and it's ready to give over to your new officers. So, next checklist. It's for our incoming officers, our checklist, the ones that are excited and going to live on the legacy of their organization. Some things to ask and make sure that you're looking out for. Make sure you understand the present and future programs of your organization. Try to get you a master calendar with all your meetings, programs, event, your dates, and also make sure that you're when you're making dates that they work with not just your schedule, but all the officers and all the members of your organization's availability as best as you can. Make sure you already have meeting agendas, meeting times, and locations as well, so that you can already have that consistent and standing time. Make sure that when you're doing your event applications, that if you want this to be recurring, make sure that you communicate that as well. The next thing is establish new goals and prioritize. What's going to be the goal of our new exec board? What does progress look like for our organization? Sit down and make sure you communicate that with your organization. And also, don't be afraid to hit up old officers to see what went well, what worked, what didn't work, so that you can avoid some of those barriers along the way. And then try to arrange for new officers to keep in contact over the summer break and winter break. Even though we're on vacation, that's a great time when you can be getting a lot of things done, communication done, so that when you do come back to campus, you're already ready and you're not behind schedule once you have your academic courses starting back. And utilize us and your advisors. Student Activities is here to help you. We are here all summer, so if you have questions, use us as a resource. Use our resources that we have online, and make sure that you're just using us. Whatever you need, we can be there. And if we can't find a question, we'll or answer a question, we'll find you an answer and help you and guide you along the way. And consider making fall leadership trainings or SOLD workshops mandatory for new leaders and officers to go together, one to bond, and also so that you're learning things about service, how to be an org officer, tips and tricks, so that you won't have as many questions. Come to these free workshops. Most times they don't take a lot of time, and just utilize the many resources and training and developmental options provided all across campus. A key thing over the summer and over all breaks, make sure you're checking your email for important information from us regarding the upcoming academic year, as well as correspondence for upcoming events or opportunities. And make sure you're also keeping in contact with information and email correspondence from your advisor. So here are some of our officer resources that are located on our page. When we do the org sync tutorial in a little while, I will show you more in detail what we have available and how to navigate to that on our page. But we have organization resources, which are kind of just broad resources that you may need. We have money matters that will give you information about getting a checking account verification letter to set up a bank account, some how to get funding for your organization through our different funding opportunities that are available, how to recruit, how to market, where can we market. We have some OrgSync tutorials where you can watch on YouTube videos of exactly how to do certain things and navigate OrgSync. We have virtual resources and activities. So if you're wanting to do an online and engage your students online, or you want to do something different where you can reach some of our distant and online learners as well, we have tools for that. And then one of very important thing, policies. If you need to freshen up on policies of the university and pertaining to student orgs or events that you may host, we have all of those lists for you as well. So this is a quick list, but I'll show you more of those in a second. So this is kind of our timeline of what do we need to do as an officer who is transitioning. First, you need to update your roster on OrgSync. You'll log into OrgSync with your UNT credentials, and you'll be able to make those updates. And I'll show you how to do that soon. Make sure you're also updating your constitution when it comes time for registration. If there are any changes, this is the time to do that now. To update your constitution, and then doing the registration form. On the registration form, which is also on OrgSync, when it open up for the upcoming academic year, you will be able to upload your constitution. And if your roster is already current, you're out the way on that. And you'll be able to submit registration to make sure that your organization stays active and does not have any issues where they may get dissolved or things of that nature. And now we'll move on to an OrgSync walkthrough on how to update our roster. So when you log into OrgSync, this is how it pretty much looks. And we're gonna use my portal for example. But when you log into OrgSync with your credentials, if you click here by your name, you can click My Organizations and navigate to your org from there. Or you can see over here that your logo for your org will pop up. You can click right here and more things will pop up for you as well. So let's use another organization, for example. We'll use Student Government Association. Okay, so once you log in or hover over your org, you'll be able to see roster, and this will bring you to your roster. Another way, you can click your roster here. And if you're needing to update your roster, you can click invite someone. You'll add in their email. And then you'll add them and you'll select a position to invite them as. So you can invite someone as president, officer, treasurer, secretary, whatever it may be for your org. And then you'll click send invitation. And once you send the invitation, you can go to pending and you can see if someone has accepted it or not. And also, if you're just changing someone's position, you can hover over their position and select a new one and unclick others as so. And then you'll just click save and it'll update that position as well. Another way that you can do this is going through here, typing in and changing primary contacts and things of that nature. And that'll update your primary contact, which is very important because that's the person who will, moving forward, be able to get communication as the primary contact / president of that organization. And that is how you update your OrgSync roster. Another thing that's very important and a good tool is our officer page, which has our student org page, which has resources for all organizations. So this is our homepage for student organizations. And if you go on the main page, Student Activities Center, and you go to Programs and Services, and then you'll come down and you'll click Student Orgs, and it'll bring you to this page. When you're looking for resources, on the sidebar of navigation, you'll click Manage Your Organization, Officers, and you'll click Resources. And just as those resources we mentioned earlier, the six resources, here you can drop down and get more information. So under like org resources, how to do org orientation, how to get a storage locker for your org, student org of the month, which is offered. And we have lots of incentives attached to that. Meetings, goal setting, and officer transitions, which is very important. You can click here and look at all of those. And of course, money matters, bank account info, fundraising, and funding that's available to your organization. Recruitment and marketing with tips, tabling, involvement fairs, things of that nature. How to table at Discovery Park, our flyer policy, and also Eagle Mail. And Eagle Mail allows you to get information out to a large crowd of UNT students. And then OrgSync tutorials with some of those video walkthroughs. If you need how to find a form, how to update your roster, anything that you may have a question about, this is a great source here. And then those virtual resources when you want to connect online. We have some tips and ideas here. And then those policies that we talked about. Some of the policies of our institution you can find here if you need to refresh on those. And this is just, will bring you back to that officer transitions. This is just a reminder, officer transition is a big deal. Officer transition is a big deal. Big deal. Make sure you're prepared by utilizing these resources. Make sure you're using the tools and you're really engaging in the officer transition process so that the hard work that you've done for your organization lives on even once you have left UNT. And thank you for listening. That's all I have. I wish you all the best of luck when it comes to registering your organization and transitioning. And of course, if you ever have any questions during your officer transition process, please reach out to Student Activities. Thank you.